Hi, I'm Cammy Crolic, and I'm an Associate Professor of Marketing here at the University of Oxford in Oxford, England. My job as a professor consists mainly of two parts. My first is research. So I research through experiments consumer behavior. And consumer behavior is really the intersection of psychology and marketing. I take psychological concepts and I apply it to marketing contexts. I teach marketing courses to both undergraduates and graduates here at the university. Psychology plays a fundamental role in my career as a professor. So as I mentioned, my research is on consumer behavior and this intersection between marketing and psychology. So I regularly in my research take concepts from psychology, cognitive, social, personality psychology, and apply it to the consumer. I didn't initially set out to become a professor and end up in academia. In fact, I sort of stumbled on this path. While I was at university, I took an offer to work with a professor to write an honors thesis. And so that was really my first exposure into theory and research and reading literature and asking interesting questions and trying to find out the whys of things. Through writing that, I did sort of realize a passion. But I had already accepted a position in industry with a company that I had interned with the prior summer, so sort of put that aside and went into industry. And while I was in industry, I realized that the focus is very much on execution, which is admirable, but wasn't what I was particularly passionate about. So when I went back to school at UF to get my MBA, I realized that I really didn't like a lot of the components of industry, and I really liked a lot of what academia had to offer. I started with a Ph.D. course, and I ultimately got my Ph.D. and became a professor. It wasn't sort of my goal while I was an undergrad, but I did do a lot of things that helped me eventually to become a professor. So one of the things that I did was I took any class that interested me. So this idea that I was a marketing major and I took all the courses associated with that, but I really loved to learn about psychology. And so I added a course and added another one and a couple more, and I ultimately turned it into a second degree. In addition, I joined clubs that I was interested and passionate about. So I ended up joining the psychology club, which gave me a lot of insight and access to professors and academics that had come out to talk to us about psychology. Another thing is that I ended up joining one of my professor's psychology labs, so I got some exposure to research as an undergrad, and I also became a TA for a marketing professor, so that gave me some insight into sort of the teaching components of being a professor. So my advice for undergraduates is to pursue your passions. Don't be afraid to sort of change direction or switch career paths, because that was one of the most worthwhile risks that I took, is switching from industry that didn't make me particularly happy into academia, which, there's ups and downs of every job, things you like and don't, but I can honestly say I love this career path, and this is something that really fit me. As corny as it is, I really love working as a professor.